New York, New York.
Hey, what's up guys, Braden here, and today we are going to talk about the New York Yankees and why they don't allow their players to grow beards. I grew up a BYU fan. A lot of you already know that because of my SMU video, I mention it. But the reason I bring this up is because BYU has a similar policy for members of their men's sports teams. No beards and no long hair. But recently that rule was done away with at BYU. But even to this day, the Yankees have not gotten rid of that policy. But why do the Yankees have this rule? Well, to answer that question, we need to go back a bit. Let's talk about a man named George Steinbrenner, who even casual baseball fans know is the man who owned the Yankees for several decades. George was born on July 4th, 1930 in Rocky River, Ohio. Steinbrenner's father went to MIT, and Steinbrenner himself joined the Air Force in 1948, eventually achieving the rank of second lieutenant before being honorably discharged in 1954. He got married in 1956 and bought a basketball team called the Cleveland Pipers in 1960, which was against his father's wishes. The elder Steinbrenner did not want his son to go into the sports business. But I won't go too much into detail about his personal story. Steinbrenner made some money through the shipping industry and other business ventures, and in 1973 purchased the Yankees from the media company CBS for around $8.8 million, which is equal to about $57 million today. But the sense of discipline that had been instilled in him from his military career is something that never left him, and one thing in particular, the appearance and grooming standards that the military upholds. When he took over the Yankees, he began taking note of the long hairstyles many players sported in the 70s. A lot of men wore their hair long in the 70s, as this was when the hairband phenomenon began in the music industry, which had a trickle-down effect to culture in general. Steinbrenner disagreed with this, as he believed ball players should look professional at all times. During opening day in 1973 against the Cleveland Indians, Steinbrenner noticed that when the Yankees players removed their caps for the national anthem, several of the players had shaggy long hair. Steinbrenner was a brand new owner at the time and did not know the players' names, and so he wrote down the numbers of the players whose hair he found to be a bit too long. He then ordered manager Ralph Houck to relay the message to those players that they needed to cut their hair. Catcher Jerry Moses, one of the long-haired players, later recalled that Houck did not explicitly state that the order came from Steinbrenner, but he, quote, read it in a manner that let us know that it didn't come from him and that he didn't agree with it. By 1976, Steinbrenner had officially codified the appearance policy, and at the time, it read as follows: no beards, no beads, no mutton chops, no long hair, no stirrups. In addition, no piercings were allowed. Steinbrenner would later say he didn't actually have a problem with long hair and beards, which he obviously did, but he said that the rule was about, quote, trying to instill a certain sense of order and discipline, unquote. But believe it or not, the Cincinnati Reds are actually partially to blame for this rule. The Reds actually beat Steinbrenner to the punch by 9 years because their no beard policy dates back to 1967, but the rule was eventually done away with in the Reds organization in 1999. Steinbrenner took inspiration from the Reds and adopted a form of their policy as his own. Sports writers have called the policy outdated and unnecessary, and it's been criticized ad nauseum. But certain players have criticized it too, and even some Yankees players didn't want to play by the rules. Take Oscar Gamble, for instance. He was known for his distinctive afro hairstyle and even had an endorsement deal with Afro Sheen. He would lose his sponsorship if he cut his hair, but Steinbrenner held firm and instead paid Gamble out of his own pocket the value of the deal. However, Gamble was allowed to keep the hair long enough for his trading card picture to be taken before ultimately cutting it. Another example of a player not wanting to follow the policy came when pitcher Doc Ellis was traded to the Athletics for the horrible crime of wearing an earring. If you want to hear another crazy story about Doc Ellis, be sure to watch this video. I'll put the link in the description, or you can go to my channel, click on the videos tab, and scroll down. Beards are banned, but mustaches are totally cool, as demonstrated by catcher Austin Wells. In 1983, Yankees pitcher Goose Gossage took advantage of this loophole by only shaving his chin, thus creating an exaggerated mustache. By far, one of the strongest moments of defiance to the policy came in 1991, when first baseman Don Mattingly absolutely refused to cut his hair and was subsequently fined and removed from the starting lineup for a game against the Chicago White Sox. The TV show The Simpsons parodied this set of events in an episode called Homer at Bat, which aired the following winter in 1992, in which Mattingly, who actually lent his voice to the episode, was benched after clashing with the character Mr. Burns over the length of his sideburns.
Still like him better than Steinbrenner.
The policy does make one exception though, those who have beards for religious or cultural reasons, likely because that opens the door for lawsuits, as places of employment cannot discriminate on the basis of religion. Steinbrenner passed away in 2010 at the age of 80, but the policy remained in place at the request of his daughter Jenny. Notable examples of Yankees who came to New York sporting long hair and/or beards and were forced to get rid of them include Randy Johnson, Johnny Damon, Jason Giambi, and Garrett Cole. And Garrett Cole in particular grew up a Yankees fan, and so he knew the policy all too well. Cole said, quote, "I haven't shaved in like 10 years, but you know what? So be it. That's the way it is. If you're a Yankee, you shave. That's what's up," unquote. Someone needs to be sued for doing this to Cole. I mean, look at how they massacred my boy. He went from "even your girl calls me daddy" to the guy who gives out free samples at Costco. The policy has been in place for almost 50 years now, half a century of beardless Yankees. Steinbrenner's daughter is just as strict about the policy as her father, it seems. Jenny is a partner in the Yankees organization and considers it part of her job to see to it that no Yankee dares grow a beard. This has caused some issues. In 2013, the team tried to sign pitcher Brian Wilson in free agency. Wilson's nickname is actually The Beard. He obviously didn't want to lose that little moniker and said he would refuse to sign with the Yanks if he had to shave. The deal was ultimately not completed for that reason. Pitcher David Price has also been vocal about the fact that he'd never sign with the Yankees as long as the policy is in place. A few former Yankees have also criticized the policy, notably Andrew McCutchen, known for his signature dreadlocks. He was forced to cut them when he was traded to the Yankees in 2018. Outfielder Clint Frazier also cracked a joke about the policy on Twitter when he joined the Cubs after 5 seasons with the Yankees, saying that he was going to leave his razor in New York. The Marlins briefly attempted to copy the policy in 2006, and in 2016, Don Mattingly of all people was named manager, and strangely enough, he was actually in favor of the policy. Call it a change of heart or maturity or whatever you want, but many call it hypocritical. Former Yankee Derek Jeter became part owner of the Marlins in 2017 and said players could grow beards as long as it was well groomed. So there you have it, a brief history of the Yankees' no beard policy. Like it or hate it, it seems like the policy is going to stick around for a while, at least as long as Jenny Steinbrenner is still alive. But I will say, if the Mormons of all people lightened up quicker than you, then you might be a little bit too uptight. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you hated it, leave a dislike. But either way, comment for the algorithm. Peace out.
I can never ever find the right words, and there's no way this is real life. There's no telling you're the right girl, so I can only say that it feels right. It feels right, it feels right. Yeah, I can only say that it feels right. It feels right, it feels right. Yeah, I can only say that it feels right.